This video is all about water. Diesel fuel and water don't mix, but in this video they do. In this video we're bringing the heat. Sorry. Cheesy intro. Keep watching. Wait, where are you going? Come back. Seriously though, in this video I'm going to be improving my water situation. I have a 20-gallon freshwater tank on board and I love it. I love having plumbing. It's great. But what I've discovered is finding somewhere to hook up a garden hose and get potable water for free is difficult. It's been like one of my biggest challenges is filling my water tank and also showering off grid. So in this video I'm going to try to improve all of those things, and I'm also going to take my diesel heater apart and see how filthy it is after using it for an entire winter, like pretty much every night. So to get potable water, as you can see, I have a place to fill my tank, and I can also just hook up and run off like the grid. There are places you can get water for free. For example, in Moab, the Maverick on the south side of town has free potable water. Some truck stops do, but not really. There's a lot of RV dump stations, but a lot of them, they don't have potable water. They have a water thingy there, but that's just for rinsing out your tank. You don't want to hook up to that because it's filthy. I've even been driving around with this. It's a cross key. It's you know, I had intentions of, allegedly, of I could go rogue and just pull up to a, you know, some sort of office building or something on a weekend and hook up to it. I have not done that. But I need more options to get water, basically, is what I'm saying, because I've been ending up having to pay for like day use or camping at state parks, or just getting an RV park or a campground every time I need to fill my water, and that's getting expensive. So in this video, I'm gonna try to improve on my whole water setup. So I got a new pack, 4-pack of pre-filters. I actually like the ones I had before. These seem kind of cheaper. And I also replaced my pressure regulator. It's like a 50 PSI or something, because I let my other one freeze and now it leaks. And then this is a little like hose saver thing I can put on either end of it. But as you can see here, I've got just the basic, cheapest Camco RV water hose, like drinking water safe hose. And it's been fine, but when it's really cold, it's like, it's stiff and it's it's kind of hard to pack away. So I'm replacing that with this. It's the I think it's Camco brand as well, maybe, but it's a flexible, foldable, collapsible, takes up this much room water hose. It's also 25 feet long. It's even got a little bag. Yeah, it's Camco. So I bought this at Walmart. It was, I don't know, 20-something bucks. So that's just gonna make my storing my water hose way less bulky. Yeah, look at the size of this little thing. I mean, here's my hand, like, it's tiny. And that's 25-foot hose. You know, if it fails and leaks one day, oh well, you know, whatever. Get another one. But when your storage space is at a premium, you know, this is better. But I'm still like stuck having to find somewhere to hook up. So what I also got at Walmart is this, the Aquatainer. It's a 7-gallon water jug, and what that's gonna enable me to do is, you know, some grocery stores you can go and they have that fill your own damn water thingy, you know. That's kind of my idea. It's got this little spout thingy on it too. So I just got one of these. It was like 20 bucks. And it's big, so I don't want to have a bunch of these in the van, have to make room for them, because I really don't have room. And I looked, as I was standing there in the aisle at Walmart, I just hopped on Amazon real quick, because I was like, 20 bucks for a water jug. But it's actually, this is the best deal you can get, and the ones on Amazon were even more money. So 7 gallons here. So I would have to fill this like 3 times to fill my water tank in its entirety, but I never really run it all the way empty. I mean, I have, but. So this is kind of like my main solution for getting water, at least trying to open up more opportunities to get water. I used to have a water cooler in my apartment, and I'd get those 5 gallon, like the Primo round ones, but those are actually, it's expensive. It's cheaper to just fill them on your own. But in addition to this, because this is only 7 gallons, I also, if I wanted to, I've got 2 of these. These are collapsible 4 gallon, I think. Yeah, 16 liter water jugs as well. And with these like expanded, let's see if I can even do it, show you. These would fit behind my driver's seat, but they expand. It's basically all I'm trying to show you. But so, you know, not every grocery store has that water fill thingy. But at least now that's an option. I've seen a lot of places where you can get water. There's actually water vending like machines that I've seen in places too, even outside of gas stations and stuff. So now I have like ways to get water other than just having to hook up to a hose. So am I gonna stand here with a like 55-pound jug of water and pour it into a funnel? That would suck, right? So I got a shaker siphon, jiggler siphon. You know, I also got a funnel in case this doesn't work, but it will. I've used these before and they're great. It's just a vinyl tube, this copper piece on the end that has basically like a glass marble in it. And you just dunk it in the jug, go like that a few times, and water starts flowing. So the next thing I'm gonna try to solve relating to water is just showering in the van off grid. I have a 2.5 or 3 gallon electric water heater, and it's been enough. That it's plenty to take a full shower, including washing my hair too. And the reason I went with a tank style water heater versus a tankless, like on-demand one, is the wattage requirement. It's like 1700 or 1750 watt for the tank style. And the tankless ones were all like 3 kilowatt. They were ridiculously high demand for power. And that is just on the like very extreme limits of doing it off the battery. The inverter can handle it no problem, but I've done it once just off battery, and it made me like I just felt bad for my poor batteries doing that, pulling like 170 amps off my batteries. It just seemed like if I don't want to have to replace my batteries prematurely, I should never do that. So what I've been doing, every time I want to shower, if I'm not hooked up somewhere as far as power, I have to set up my generator basically and power my water heater off the generator. So it's kind of like a hassle. I gotta go set up the generator, fire it up, turn on the water heater, and then I wait about 10 minutes and then I'm good to go to take a shower. So it's been a whole like big process, and it's kind of a hassle and it's inconvenient. You know, the OGs, the pros that have been doing van life forever, all do the same thing. You get a shower tent and a pump sprayer, spray paint the pump sprayer black, put it in a clear bag, let it sit out in the sun all day. It gets hot enough, and then you shower that way. But, you know, I am happy having the shower in my van. I really like the privacy of it, and it's nice. So, and the water heater has been working out great, but I want to have like another way to heat my water. And also, here's another side note if you haven't watched my build. I decided from the beginning that I did not want to deal with propane at all. Because, you know, there's 1,000 different propane water heaters for RVs. But getting propane is a hassle and it's expensive, and I didn't want to deal with it. So I decided no propane for me. I have a diesel heater, and everything else in my van is electric. So, diesel. All right, so there's actually several ways you can heat your water with a diesel heater in your rig. They make a heat exchanger for the outlet of your diesel heater where the hot air comes out. You pipe your ducting through this heat exchanger, and then it's got an inlet and outlet for water. They also make a combination diesel heater and water heater. And the whole purpose of that, diesel heaters were originally for truckers. They're called bunk heaters, actually. And the purpose for them is so if you're in a cold place and you're having to camp overnight or overnight at a truck stop or a rest area, you can keep your sleeper cab warm. The coolant heater is the part that will keep your engine warm by basically using diesel fuel in a little heater and a little pump to pump coolant through your engine block and through that heater and keep, so you're not doing a cold start. Basically making it so you don't have to idle your engine all night long. And that was kind of the origin of diesel heaters, you know? And then somebody figured out you can use these for everything. They're super efficient. People, they have those combination all-in-one units that have the fuel tank and everything all built right in, and people heat their shops and their garages and their cabins and stuff with them. And for RVs and van life, they're great. People take old rigs and yank the propane heaters out of them and put diesel heaters in them because they really are efficient. Like, I have ran my diesel heater for days in a row, non-stop, and I have never ran that 5-gallon jerry can all the way out. I mean, I can run it for like 48 hours straight and use less than 2 gallons of diesel. But all of those other options that I mentioned just now would require me to run my diesel heater and also heat my entire van up just to get hot water. Now, it is essentially instant heat for your water, but you know, if it's summertime, I don't like taking cold showers. That's not comfortable at all, but I don't want to heat my entire van up just to shower as well. That's also like inconvenient, just like setting up my generator. So what I got is just a dedicated diesel coolant heater. HLN sent me this, and this is not a sponsorship. They actually just reached out and sent me their coolant heater as well as their diesel heater for me to just test and review. No strings attached. Honest review is all they asked from me, and I really appreciate that. I think that's freaking awesome, you know. So what I'm gonna do is attempt to take this diesel coolant heater made for like a truck, for truckers, and use it to heat my hot water. What I need to do with this, it has a little water pump built in, so it circulates, it's made to circulate coolant through your engine. But I also have a water pump that pumps the water into my water heater and then to my shower. So I'm going to have two pumps in the system kind of working against each other in a sense. And I've got to install a one-way check valve to prevent hot, heated shower water from my water heater from going back feeding into my freshwater tank. And then the idea is to use my existing water heater as the reservoir. So I'm going to take the water that's in the existing water heater and cycle it through this coolant heater, which I'm going to mount in the back, and that will heat up my water heater. And then as I'm showering, my water pump that I already have is going to pump water from my freshwater tank into my water heater to replenish it. So that's the whole idea. Is it going to work? I think so. I've never attempted anything like this before, but in theory, it should work. But I think that one-way check valve is the key, which is supposed to be here today. I had to put my hoodie on. The weather here has just been more bipolar than my ex. It was 86 degrees yesterday in April, and now it's 50 and there's a strong north wind. So I'm still waiting on that check valve. Should be delivered today. So I'm gonna kind of jump around in this video and remove the diesel heater and take it apart, see how filthy it is. I have ran this thing almost every night since November. At least what I'll do is like around 5 a.m. I'll wake up and just kick it on just to take the chill out of the air. I sleep better when it's cold, but I have my cats, you know, and I try to keep the van a reasonable temperature. So I'm gonna get this out of here, and just for fun, I'm gonna hang on to this because this thing's actually been pretty reliable. There are some things I hate about it, and I will talk about that later. But I just want to see like how filthy is it. All right, so this thing is really not dirty at all. I mean, that's an overstatement. It is a little dirty, but not nearly as bad as I was expecting. See? A little bit of some rusty stuff, kind of just some crumbs. But yeah, not bad at all. I was actually really expecting it to be trashed, but yeah, here's the burner. That is decent. So here's the deal. This thing, it's an 8 kilowatt. At least that's what it's advertised as. I think that's probably false. It's probably more like 5 or something. But what I hate about it, okay, is the thermostat. It's not an actual thermostat. It's a suggestion, you know. You set it at 20°C, it'll run forever. It'll run all night. Next thing you know, your van's 80-something degrees in there, and it's ridiculous. But what it'll do is, so it has this little temperature sensor here, and this is the casing temp sensor. And what that does is, you know, once the heater is like hot, fully warmed up, where the case is, I don't know, 300 C or whatever it runs at, then you're getting optimal combustion, like the most efficient burn, lean burn, and it will throttle the fan down to low. And if you set the thermostat, quote unquote, my hands tore up because I replaced my friend's radiator in his Toyota Tundra yesterday, so that's why that's like that. But anyway, so if you turn the thermostat up higher, it'll cycle the fan up. It has one fan motor, and that controls the air that moves through the case and blowing into the van, as well as, it's a dual shaft, the combustion and exhaust air that flows through the heat exchanger. So basically, once this thing gets hot and satisfies its, hey, I'm hot enough, I'm burning lean, it just runs the fan on low. So if it's super cold outside, you'll actually get where, unless I had ducting run all throughout my van everywhere and vents all over, you get cold spots and hot spots, basically. And it never shuts off. It doesn't act like a thermostat. So basically, it's either way too hot, or I have to really crank the thing to basically keep the van comfortable when it's real cold. And that's not even really a problem. Basically, the biggest problem with this is it's always running on low, and it just cooks me out of the van, basically, as I thought it would. Otherwise, this is actually, to be fair, I paid, I think, a little over $200 for this unit, and it's been a pretty solid unit. And after, 6 months of almost daily use, that's hardly dirty at all. I was expecting a big sooted up, you see them videos on YouTube where, it's like, oh my God, my diesel heater's, just look at this sooted up mess. But this is, this is nice. I could just put this back together right now and use it for another season, probably. I am going to spray some brake cleaner through it. Actually clean it. I ain't going to take this all apart for nothing. I ain't going to spray brake cleaner on that because it's plastic. But anyway, I'm going to clean this up, put it all back together, and stow it away for a rainy day, because I have a 4 kilowatt diesel heater from HLN, and I do want to make some changes to the ducting and the thermostat location. So basically, I'm going to install this new diesel heater and then make some modifications to the van. But you know what? This is, and if you watched my original, all my build videos, you know what brand this is, and I got it because aluminum housing. This is cast aluminum, because a lot of people have complained about, at least that I've seen on YouTube, people have complained about like a melty plastic smell. So, but yeah, I was expecting this to be way dirtier than it is, but not too bad. All right, that's all back together, and I've added diesel heater assembly to my resume. So I think a lot of that was I didn't mess with any of the settings, which, I really wanted to. I like to party. And I used like highway low sulfur pump diesel in it. I didn't put like frickin' used motor oil or French fry grease or whatever people do. I just did what I was supposed to do with it, and So here's the HLN. This is what you get. It's actually, check this out. You can somehow, should probably read the instructions. You can just open it up without undoing a bunch of screws and crap. It's got these two latches right here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, unscrew that. And then, look at that. Quick, easy glow plug change. Access the circuit board, which I am noticing immediately that the circuit board is completely sealed. The other one was just kind of exposed, so that's cool. So yeah, I'm noticing it frickin' weighs, even with the plastic housing rather than aluminum, it weighs more than the other heater. And it appears to be the same physical size. So if I really wanted to, I could put that aluminum housing on this heater, but check this out. There's the air outlet, and here's the old one. Like, so this is 8 kilowatt, and this is rated at 4, but I mean, they're the exact same physical size. And this one here appears to have a more efficiently designed heat exchanger, because if you look at the one I had, you see how thick the fins on the casting are. And then here's the new one. So, but it looks like the installation, it's universal, you know, it's all the diesel heaters are the same general install. So I'll be able to be able to put this right in the same place as the old one without having to do too much modification to the van. So the plugs are different. This is fuel pump, and then my old heater was 7 pins. This one's 5 here and 2 there. So they have a split plug design rather than what's going on with that. But I'm going to use the fuel pump that came with this, because I would assume it's a higher quality, and the wiring. And I am relocating the thermostat, which I'm about to show you here in a second. It comes with a way nicer exhaust. That's like a muffler. I mean, it's still kind of your flexy bendy stuff, but yeah, and it's way longer. My old one, I didn't even use the exhaust that came with the other one. I bought separate so I could get it like out to the side of the van, because the stuff the other one came with was just so short. The air intake has kind of a muffler on it, so that's kind of cool. I'm probably going to use this actually. This is better too. Oh yeah, the air intake's way better. I'm definitely going to use that. I like that. So that's an improvement. And then I've got a pretty nice heavy duty plate, but I'm not going to use that because I have a custom install in my van. Here's the duct, same stuff as the old duct. Here's a piece of my old duct. Comparison, and just in size, same material, but yeah, this is like a proper, I believe, 3-inch diameter air duct. So that's good. And then here's all your things. You've got your fuel pump, fuel line. they give you some split loom for the fuel line, which is cool. If you haven't seen my original installing my diesel heater video, I'll put a link right there. Check it out, because I did some pretty custom stuff, especially with the fuel line. So that'll explain why I'm not totally using everything that came with this new heater, because I kind of went all out with the installation of my old one. Super heavy duty clamps for fuel pump. Here's a grill that comes with the new duct, but I'm not going to use this. I'll show you. I might use it if, you know, my plan fails, but I have a plan for the new stuff. So here's the controller, and wow, it is teeny tiny. Check that out. And this tiny little, teeny tiny little controller. That's pretty sweet, actually. That's really sweet. Comes with 3M mounting tape. Okay, so this, I haven't even read the instructions yet, but I know that this is a temperature sensor. So it's got like a remote temp sensor on it. That's pretty cool. That's really cool, actually. And then the wiring harness is, man, look at that. That's deluxe. Split loom. Yeah, HLN, man. And huge thank you to HLN for sending me this stuff. Like I said, they just said, hey, Dave, you want to try out our products? I said, what do you want from me? Yeah, you know, and it's like nothing, man. Just do an honest review on them. Seriously, come on. All right, so I'm gonna, I guess, just go ahead and mount this where the old one was. Get my exhaust hooked up. Get my intake figured out, fuel pump, and then kind of start playing with the wiring and the thermostat. And then the last thing I'm going to do is the duct, because I'm going to have to go to Menards. So I'm going to reconfigure my two ducts. So I'm going to remove these. I'm going to remove, I'm gonna remove those, and then kind of change this up a little bit. I'm not going to remove this whole bulkhead because I don't want to have to pay for more material, but I've got a pretty good idea how I'm going to modify this. Alright, we're all hooked up under here. I used the new air intake because it's way better, and the new fuel pump also seemed like it was much higher quality. Everything else I reused, and then I cut down the wire for the fuel pump, because in both cases they give you like 900 feet of it. So we're all done underneath here. I got diesel fuel on my face and on my hoodie sleeve, but it smells a lot better than gasoline. No van build video would be complete without a trip to 100 pack of zip ties for $2. Hell yeah. It's 2 days later. This is a travel channel, and we travel through time as well. No, I was just way too tired to work on the van yesterday, and it was cold and excuses, and you know. So where I left off the other night is I got all the wiring ran for both heaters. I had a dedicated circuit for the last heater already with a relay and 12 gauge wiring ran to the back. I ended up using that same circuit, but I used the wiring that came with the new heater because they give you like 800 feet of it. And the trick to get both heaters to work off of the same switch is I had to change the plurality. anyways, I put both controllers up on the command center, and I was originally planning on relocating the controller for the cabin heater to back by the bed, but since that came with a remote temp sensor, I put it in the same spot, and then I ran the temp sensor over and poked it through the cabinet. Kind of comes out right by the entry where the fire extinguishers are. That way it's like kind of a part of the van that's always cold, because up there in the like control panel of everything, it's always a few degrees warmer right there because of all the electronics and stuff, and that Starlink router puts out a lot of heat. So to get a more like accurate just thermostatic control of the heater, I've got the sensor over there. To finish up the diesel heater, I need to do the air duct now. And this here is almost a 4-inch. Not quite, but it's pretty much. So what I got here is, this is a 4x10 boot. So instead of using the little round grill that came with the heater, I'm going to cut a 4x10 square hole in that board right there and have one large vent right in the middle. And I'm going to kind of make that look a little nicer. I've never really been happy with that little wall right there. So after that's done, I'll test the diesel heater, make sure it works, and then move on to plumbing up that coolant heater, and then we'll be done with this. I've kind of saved the most complicated and unknown thing for the last. So I've marked center, and then I put a big square rectangle there and Sharpied all over the place. So the idea here is we're getting rid of these two side vents. I don't like how they protrude, and you know, they did work perfectly how I imagined, where having them kind of angled down at the floor make the floor nice and warm, but we're gonna have one large giant vent in the middle. So I'm gonna remove these and then take my drill and make holes in each corner. And then the idea here is just maximum violence. So after that, I'm going to stab a bigger hole in it with the spade bit, then get in there with the Sawzall and just try to cut through the plywood and the foam behind it. So if I can get these off somehow get these off. If I can see, I'll remove these. I need my, here, we'll take this and use it the wrong way, like a pry bar. That'll work. Alright. Remove these. So now obviously I'm gonna have like extra holes in my wall, but I got a good idea on how I'm gonna cover them up, which I'll show ya. And that one was in there good. Tight fit. Alright, there's no going back now. Oh, I'm bleeding. That's cool. All right. Like a surgeon. I mean, look at that precision. Didn't even chip the wood, you know. All right, so now I'm gonna put a nailing flange on the end of it. So I'm gonna cut the corners back about 3/4 of an inch. And then take these sheet metal seamers and then just kind of bend it up. And we'll do 3 notches in. These have little indicators on them. So you can tell how much you're grabbing. Just like that, see? Alright, I used nails instead of screws, and then I proceeded to continue beating it with a hammer. So it looks like this now. Now, don't waste your time calling me there, Metal Workers Union. I'm not currently looking. Alright, I hooked up the duct. Now I can actually run this thing and see how well it works. Alright, power. Okay, now I need to read the instructions because I need to prime the new fuel pump. Alright, press and hold back button. Alright. And we gotta go to fast. Oh, come on. What the hell? Come on. There we go. Clock, timer, settings, fast. On. Oh yeah, I hear it. Okay. Alright, so I just switched it to auto. It's on Fahrenheit. You can set your temp. That's the temp of the sensor, which I installed right down here. And now it's doing stuff. Alright, so it's throttled up and it's blowing real hot air now. So now she's all warmed up and cranking. Yeah. Yeah, this thing puts out, man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the capacity or the output is the same as my old heater. I think that old heater was just rated incorrectly, you know. 8 kilowatt, you know. Which, I don't know why they're even, they list these in kilowatt. That's typically for an electric heater. I would expect a gas-powered heater to be BTUs, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a America thing, using BTUs, and you know, Britain, where it's got that just started your furnace for the first time for the year kind of smell. Yep, she's cranking. Sweet, works good. Alright, so I'm not going to leave this looking like this. What I'm gonna do is this. Gonna give it that cool, like, I don't know, 1800s-ish styling. This is like basically something you put on your ceiling And yeah, it's kind of, I like it. Add a little extra bit of, you know, a little extra decorative elements to the van. I was never really happy with this wall back here. It was kind of, I could have did a better job with that. I hate how there's a exposed seam right here, and then the color difference between the plywood and the 2x4. So that was my thought. I'm gonna trim this thing and get it perfectly centered on here. I should have probably did that before installing this. I could have cut the opening, but and this is just plastic. The ones that were made out of actual metal were like, I could not afford that. This thing here was 39 bucks just for this. So hopefully it doesn't melt, but if it does, I'll just redo it someday. But I think it's gonna look good and kind of, you know, just add an extra little element to the van. Like I said, kind of, I went with the silvery look, kind of matches the hardware of everything else and stuff. So, and I probably will go ahead and try to get a piece in back here as well. So, using the last of my adhesives from building the van, I did hoard some things. Now that looks better. Alright, so the final step here is to put a wall grill, because it's a wall vent. And there's a nickel one that matches the color almost perfectly. But it's kind of like, looks like a vent, right? And for $2 less than a nickel wall grill, I can do this ornate 1800s looking, kind of fits the theme of this here. And that's a floor register, but what I'm gonna do is use some 3M mounting tape around the flange and just stick it on. But how cool does that look? Adding a little old-timey flair to the box van. Yep, we time traveled again here to like the 1890s or something. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. So one last thing to mention about the diesel heater is, you know, the vent's back here and it's blowing towards the front of the van. So I got this. It's a little rechargeable little fan thing. You know, Amazon. It's got a clippy-do, so I can just clip it onto my curtain rod. You can also hang it up. You know, there's like 1,000 of these to choose from. I just picked one that looked nice. It was like 20 bucks or something. We want to go outside, but the neighbors are out there with their big mean dogs. So, alright, so now it's time for me to figure out this coolant heater. I need to read the instructions, place it in the van, get it all plumbed up. I'm not really sure how yet. I'm just gonna have to figure it out. Here's that one-way check valve that I got. It's just 1/2 inch NPT. I checked the springs, very light inside, so it should be like my water pump should be able to push right through it, no problem. It's Sunday. There's 3 lawns getting mowed simultaneously right now. A neighbor over here is like fighting with his wife, and he keeps revving his Honda to 10,000 RPM for some reason. So I'm going to throw on some music and a time lapse, and then I will let you know what I figured out. So, when you consider that the end goal for this whole project was just for me to be able to take hot showers off-grid without having to deploy my generator, then I'll admit the amount of modification that I had to do to the van was excessive. But let me show you what I did. Alright, so under here, this is the one-way backflow preventer check valve thingy. That is on the inlet to the water heater. And then there's the outlet. So everything from here on is separate from the rest of the water system in the van. Right here on the water heater, we have brass T's now. And then running over from those T's is the hose going to the diesel heater. Going into the inlet of this water heater is the outlet or output from the diesel heater. And then the outlet of this water heater is the inlet of the diesel heater. And of course, with plumbing, you gotta take the long way home with everything. So we have all kinds of little fittings and unions and nipples and stuff going on. And if you didn't watch my van build, I got 20-gallon tank there, 3-gallon electric water heater here. Here's my water pump. And then we have a valve here to shut off the water from the tank, and then a valve here so we can run off of city water, which comes in right here. And then over here for the kitchen sink, just on the cold side out of that faucet, we have a 3-stage water filter. And then back here I made my own like kind of ghetto heat shield for this thing because I wanted to mount it up high, just to help with my trunk room back here. But we have the inlet and outlet. This is 5/8 heater hose, like for your car, running through here and over top of the water tank. I have it strapped up in there so it's not resting on the tank, so it won't like hurt my tank. And we have a 3/16 hard fuel line, and then I ran the exhaust down, made this custom plate here to go through the floor. The cutout in the wood floor is like a 3-inch hole, so there's an air gap around the exhaust. I have everything sealed with black RTV high temp gasket maker stuff. The air inlet for the heater, I just have it tucked back in here. I didn't want to deal with anything complicated with that because this thing's only going to be running for, you know, 10-15 minutes at a time, unlike my actual heater, which would be running all night or for days at a time. And then I have everything just kind of hung up nice, you know, whatever. I have my wiring ran kind of down here. This is getting its power off of this other diesel heater. I just kind of tapped it onto that, and then the fuel pump wire is running down through the floor, again sealed with RTV. Then underneath here we have our exhaust. This is not the pipe that came with that heater, but it is the muffler that came with the other diesel heater, and this pipe came with my old diesel heater, so I have like I combined a bunch of crap here. Then there's the new fuel line, there's the old fuel line that runs off the jerry can, and here's the wire, and I have them all kind of running together over here. And then I had to install a whole separate fuel pump for the coolant heater, and then I had to get a 3/16 barbed brass Y, W-Y-E. I could have got a T-E-E if I wanted. But basically I split the fuel coming in from my filter into both pumps. I thought about just jumping the wire to this fuel pump and doing a Y off of that. And then I thought about it for more than half a second and realized that as the coolant heater would be running, this would also be like flooding out my other heater with diesel. So I had to do it this way. My only other option would have been to run a whole separate like pickup tube and everything off of the jerry can and into that. So I think this is gonna work just fine. But you know what? Whatever sets my van apart from the vast sea of sprinters out there and just makes me more unique is a win in my book. It's working. This is the outlet. The hose is warm. Our exhaust right there. No fuel leaks. So there really doesn't appear to be any temperature control. It's just on and off basically. Or you can set a timer. But it's not getting too hot. That's maybe 115, 120. That's like normal what you'd get from a water heater. So I can shower with that for sure. It's not going to scald me, see? It's been running for about 15 minutes now. And we're powering off. I can't believe this worked. Quite well, actually. Wow. So I hope you enjoyed this video. The next van related thing that I'll be doing is a massive tune-up. I gotta like get this thing mechanically just 100% again. I put like 10,000 miles on this van since October. And I have a pretty ambitious like summer travel plan. So I got to make sure this van's like 100% ready to go. That's kind of what the next video about the van's going to be. Wednesday videos are going to be just kind of whatever for now on. I have noticed lately that my Saturday uploads really ain't, you know, it's spring. Everybody's like actually doing stuff with their lives instead of watching YouTube. So, you know, two videos a week has been kind of a challenge, and you know, this is all I'm doing as far as a job at the moment. So I'm gonna keep trying to do that all year long, but the Wednesday stuff might be more random for now on. I'll probably be doing some live streams or whatever, some hang out with me day in the life kind of stuff, who knows. But anyway, at least until I get rolling again, you know, traveling back on the road and that kind of stuff. I'm gonna be leaving town here in just a couple weeks, so I will be on the road soon. But thanks for watching. I hope you're all doing well. I will see you next time. Stay tuned.